So the reason we're doing base 2 and base 5, among other bases, is to just kind of really put you in the spot of a student that's seeing this for the first time and struggling with it. There's a few kids that just get this stuff from the beginning and don't have any problems, but most kids have a little trouble. So a couple things we need to review here. What does multiplication mean? What does base 2 mean? So multiplication is just grouping. So I'm just going to call it groups of. And then what is base 2 all about? Well, base 2 means group by 2. In base 2, there's only 2 digits. We have the digit 0 and the digit 1. That's all we have to work with. And if you think about when we have kids, when you as a kid moved on to multi-digit multiplication, you probably had a multiplication table to refer back to when you forgot. Oh man, what is 6 times 7 again? I forgot. You could look it up. So let's make a little multiplication table for working with base 2. So times, multiplying by 0 is 0. That's pretty straightforward. So counting in base 2, right? We have 1. To make a 2 in base 2, it's 1, 0, because there's your groups of 2. One group of 2 and a 1 would be 3. 4 is 2 groups of 2, and we need a whole new place value for that. So think about place values in base 2. We always start with our 1s. The next place is our 2s. Since we're grouping by 2, the next group is our 4s. 4 groups of 2 is 8s, and so on. Okay, so those are the place values. So if I write 1, 0, 0, that means one group of 4, no 2s, no 1s. 1, 0, 1 would be a group of 4 and a 1. So that should be 5 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just want to remind you about base 2 here before we proceed. So I'm not going to bother putting 0 on my multiplication table because it doesn't matter what base you're in. If you multiply by 0, you get 0. Multiplying by 1 is pretty straightforward. I'm going to put that here in anyway. And I'm going to also, just for fun, put in multiplication by 2. 2 is 1, 0 in this base. So I'm just going to make a simple table here. 1, 1, 0. 1 times 1 is 1, right? And multiplication in base 2 is actually pretty nice because you're either multiplying by 1 or 0. 1 times a number is itself, so 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times a number is itself, so 1 times 2 is 2. And remember, in base 2, 2 is 1, 0. We don't want to read that as 10 because this is all base 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and we count it up here to realize 4 is 1, 0, 0. So that's multiplication. Now, our multiplication algorithm also has us do addition. So let's just review addition in base 2. And here I'm actually going to do a few places. We'll do, let's say, well, really all we need is 0 and 1, but maybe we won't do 3 places. We'll just do 2 like before. As far as the place values go, remember we're grouping by 2. So we get a new place every time we have to group by 2 again. So we have our 1s. 2 groups of 1 is 2. 2 groups of 2, 2 times 2 is 4. 2 groups of 4, 2 times 4 is 8. 2 groups of 8, 2 times 8 would be 16. Another way to think about that, those are powers of 2. This is 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1, 2 to the 2, 2 to the 3, 2 to the 4. Just like in our number system, we use powers of 10. So when I look at a number like this right here, 101 in base 2, All I have to do is to figure out what that is in base 10 is name each place value. The third place value here is a 4. So 101 says I have one group of 4, I have no groups of 2, and I have one group of 1. 4 plus 0 plus 1 is 5. So 101 is the fifth counting number in base 2. All right, back to the addition table here. For the addition table here, just like that, I think I'll do 1 and 2. And remember, 1, 0 in base 2 is a 2. Just like 1, 0 in base 10 is a 10. 1 plus 1 is 2. In base 10, that's 1, 0. 1 plus 1, 0 is 1, 1, which means I have a group of 2 plus 1, so that would be 3, right? 1 plus 2 is 3. 1, 1 is 3 in base 10, right? 1, 2, 3 up here in my counting numbers. 1 plus 2, that's 1, 1, or 3. And then here, 2 plus 2 is 4, which should be 1, 0, 0. Now I want to show you that in a slightly different way. Suppose I wrote it like this: 1, 0 plus 1, 0. And keep in mind, this is base 2, not base 10. 0 plus 0 is 0, right? What's 1 plus 1? Well, that's 2. How do you write 2 in base 2? 1, 0. Weird, but true. All right, so now we're going to try and put this review into shape over here to do this multiplication. And I'm going to write it underneath here. Now, multiplying by 0, nothing happens. So really, I just get 2 placeholders right away, and I just go over here to 1. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. That's the answer. Let's try another version of that since we're on 2s. Well, we got it in our head. So I think this is 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. I'm going to get a new version, try my skill again. This one says take 1, 1, 0, 0 times 1, 1, 0. So I'm going to get a quick screenshot of that. I don't need a screenshot, I can just write it down. All right, so new problem. We solved this one, done. Now I want to try 1, 1, 0, 0 times 1, 1, 0. Okay, multiplying by 0 is boring, so we're just going to put in a 0 placeholder and jump to the next spot. Now I'm focused on this one right here. Maybe I'll colorize that. I'm on this one right here. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. I'm done with that one. To do the next one, this one right here, I've got to jump 1, 2 place values, so I need 2 placeholders, just like I do in base 10. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Now this one's a little more complicated because now I have 2 rows that I have to perform addition on, so I get to practice my addition here. All right, 0 plus 0, no problem. No problem. No problem. 1 plus 0, no problem. Okay, first problem. 1 plus 1 is 2. How do we write 2 in base 2? It's a 1, 0. So 1 plus 1 is carry the 1, put the 0. 1 plus 1 is 1, 0. So that one was a bit harder, but the cool thing about working in base 2, when you multiply, you either get a 0 or a 1. Nothing else can happen. When you add, you either get a 0, a 1, or a 1, 0. There's only 3 possible things that can happen. Whereas in our number system, there's a ton of multiplication facts. So then I just have to count the number of zeros I have to see if I get it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. And actually, before I check it, let's do a little review here and think about what these numbers mean. So thinking about the place value up here, this one has 4 places. So again, so I'm considering these 4 places up here, upper right. This is my 8th place. So this number here means I have an 8 and a 4, but no 2s and 1s. 8 and 4 is 12 in base 10. This one right here says I have a 4 and a 2, but no 1s. 4 and 2 is 6. So this problem right here is 12 times 6. All right, let's figure out what is 12 times 6. Let's see, 6 times 2 is 12, carry the 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. That should be 72. So this right here should be 72. Oops, and I miscopied right there. 1 plus 0 is 1. Choose a different color to fix that. Did I mess up anything else down here? 0, 0, 0, 1. 1 plus 1 is 1, 0. Okay. So it should have been 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0. So let's see how that compares to 72. To do that, I have to name these places here. So I'm going to do that in blue underneath. That's the 1's place, the 2's place, 4's place, the 8's place. 16's comes next. If we double 16, we get 32. If we double 32, we get 64. So this says I have 164 and 1 8. Everything else is 0. What is 64 plus 8? On a good day, it is 72, which matches what I have up there. Base 2 is a strange world. Thank you for correcting me, Carrie. Just saw that when I fixed it. So that should be 1 0 0 1 0 0 0. Ta-da. Okay, so base 2 is kind of simple in some sense because you only have zeros and ones to work with, but that's weird in another sense. It's like too simple to be true.